welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. It is 9 p.m. IST on the 30th of January 2024. The Arabian Sea is boiling. Somali pirates are hijacking one ship after another. In just the last few days, a Sri Lankan ship was hijacked. 2 Iranian vessels were hijacked. One of them had Pakistani crew. But Pakistan did not come to rescue the distressed vessel. India did. The Indian Navy rescued Pakistanis from Somali pirates. And on Gravitas tonight, we bring you the details of the Indian Navy's daring operations. We tell you how India is becoming the new security provider in the Arabian Sea. Also on the show for you tonight, the big story from Pakistan, where former Prime Minister Imran Khan has been sentenced to a decade in jail. Is it game over for the cricketer turned politician? Has the Pakistani army finished Imran Khan? Stay with us. India has become the new security provider in the Arabian Sea. In a series of dramatic actions, displaying courage and exemplary calm, over the past fortnight, the Indian Navy has saved Indian lives, protected Indian interests in the midst of a raging war, and in humanitarian outreach, even saved Pakistanis from pirates in the world's most dangerous high seas. On the 29th of January, Somali pirates had hijacked a fishing vessel, Al Naimi. The vessel was sailing under the flag of Iran. The crew, Pakistani. 11 pirates boarded the ship. They took the crew hostage. There were 19 Pakistani nationals on board. INS Sumitra pressed into action. It located the hijacked vessel, intercepted it. The Indian Navy commandos coerced the pirates into releasing the crew and the vessel. And just before this rescue operation, the Indian Navy had saved another ship. The Somali pirates had hijacked another Iranian fishing vessel, FV Iman. There were 17 fishermen on board. Somali pirates boarded this ship along the east coast of Somalia. The crew was taken hostage. The distressed ship sent out an SOS message. The Indian Navy responded. ALH Dhruv choppers on board INS Sumitra encircled the hijacked vessel. Indian commandos issued a warning to the pirates. The armed pirates fled. Indian Navy commandos then sanitized the hijacked vessel, following which it sent sail for onward transit. Something happened on the 27th of January, but did not come to light until this evening. A Sri Lankan fishing vessel named Lorenzo Putha was hijacked near the coast of Somalia. 3 pirates boarded the ship. The Indian Navy deployed INS Sharada. It also tasked Hale Sea Guardian to locate and intercept the hijacked ship. The defense forces of Seychelles and the Sri Lankan Navy joined the operation, and in collaboration with them, the Indian Navy ensured that the 6 crew members on board the fishing vessel were freed. The pirates surrendered, and the vessel was released. It's not just anti-piracy operations. The Indian Navy has also been rescuing vessels from Houthi attacks at sea. Over the weekend, Houthis attacked a British oil tanker in the Gulf of Aden. MV Marlin Luanda had caught fire. There were 23 crew members on board. Of them, 22 were Indians. There was also a Bangladeshi national on board. INS Vishakhapatnam rushed to the site. 10 Indian personnel boarded the burning vessel with firefighting equipment. They helped douse the flame. In a video, Captain Abhilash Rawat, the master of MV Marlin Luanda, thanked the Indian Navy. And there's more. In the first week of January, a Liberian-flagged vessel, MV Lila Norfolk, was in distress. The ship was carrying cargo from Brazil to Bahrain. There were 21 crew members on board, including 15 Indians. 5 to 6 armed men tried to hijack the vessel. The ship sent out a distress message. The Indian Navy responded. The pirates fled the ship. The Indian Navy's Marcos commandos boarded the hijacked ship, sanitized it, and rescued the distressed crew. On the 23rd of December, another Liberian-flagged vessel was attacked. MV Kempluto was hit by a drone while it was on its way to Mangalore, India, from Jubail, Saudi Arabia. The ship caught fire. India came to its rescue. A Navy aircraft, a warship, and a Coast Guard ship were diverted to help the distressed ship. The tanker was then safely escorted to Mumbai. This, you see, has become the new normal. Somali pirates hijack a ship. India goes and rescues the crew. The Houthis hit a ship. India goes and helps the distressed crew. The Indian Navy is responding to distress calls across the Arabian Sea. Be it in the east coast of Somalia, in the Gulf of Aden, India is helping vessels, irrespective of the flag that they are sailing under, irrespective of where the ship is bound to, or what the nationalities of the crew are. Just tell me one thing. What are the other navies in the region doing? Why are they not coming to the aid of the distressed ships? Are they not capable enough? Where is China? Chinese ships are sailing around the world carrying out so-called research. But PLA Navy ships have been missing from the scenes of crises. Just look at where these piracy operations are taking place. Off the coast of Somalia. Which is the country north of Somalia? Djibouti. China has a port there. See the Dorale multi-purpose port in Djibouti? Chinese Navy is stationed here. China also, by the way, has an army support base in Djibouti. Why are Chinese ships in this port not responding to distress calls? When a ship sends out an SOS, the message is relayed to all the ships in the region, all, irrespective of which flag they are sailing under, whether they are fishing vessels, merchant vessels, Coast Guard ships, or even warships. So I am assuming the distress calls of the Iranian vessels also were relayed to Chinese ships in Djibouti. Why did they not respond? Why didn't China help the Pakistani crew aboard a hijacked Iranian ship? China is supposed to be Pakistan's all-weather ally, remember. Iran is supposed to be Beijing's new best friend, and China is a self-proclaimed naval power. It also has an Arabian Sea port in Pakistan's Gwadar. So what really happened? Well, guess what? PLA Navy ships have been ignoring SOS calls for a while now. In November, a Liberian-flagged commercial ship was hijacked by Somali pirates in the Gulf of Aden. The ship, called Central Park, sent out a distress signal. There were at least 3 Chinese PLA Navy ships in the area. All of these ships ignored the distress call. They simply chose to not respond. What do you think the international law says? If there is a ship crying out for help, sending out a distress signal, all vessels in the vicinity should come and help. Let me just read out what the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea states. The master of a ship at sea, on receiving a signal from any source that a ship or aircraft or survival craft thereof is in distress, is bound to proceed with all speed to the assistance of the persons in distress, informing them, if possible, that he is doing so, quote unquote. You know what? The Chinese alone are not guilty of not helping distressed vessels. Guess who else has a base in Djibouti? The United States of America. This is Camp Lemonnier. It is the U.S. naval base in Djibouti. Are we to believe no American ship was at this port to help out the ships hijacked by Somali pirates? The United States is leading a task force in the troubled waters. Where does this great Western armada vanish when ships actually need help? What happens to their commitment towards ensuring the safety of the ships? The U.S. Navy's Carrier Strike Group 2 is in the region. It includes USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, USS Gravely, USS Laboon, USS Mason. British destroyer HMS Diamond is in the region. Canadian armed forces have deployments in the Red Sea, Bab el-Mandeb, and the Gulf of Aden, as does Denmark. These countries are supposed to be conducting joint patrols. This map gives you an idea of the military deployment at sea. Navy ships are marked in blue. Just look at how many of these arrows you see near Somalia or in the Arabian Sea. These are just a fraction of the total deployment, like we will show you, as most military ships have their tracking devices turned off. My point is, all of these ships, and yet somehow it is only the Indian Navy that is stepping in each time to rescue the distressed vessels. And I can't help but ask once again, are the other navies not capable enough? Indian commandos are risking their lives to save Pakistanis at sea, to save Iranian fishermen, to save burning British ships, Liberian flagged ships. India is carrying out these daring missions without flexing its muscle, with zero vested interests, without high-handedness. The Indian Navy is following the protocol, acting as per the established SOPs. Time and again, India is proving to be the only reliable security provider in the Arabian Sea. And like I mentioned, the big question remains, where were the Chinese ships? Why did they not come to the help of the Pakistani sailors? On the other hand, by the way, they have tall defense technology claims. Before I go further, here's a backgrounder. Just look at the timing of these developments. The fact of the matter is, the 21st century is becoming the age of the Navy. For centuries, oceans have dictated geopolitics, but after a period of relative calm, the world has once again entered a period of prolonged conflict, and oceans are back at the heart of these conflicts. Just have a look at the map of the world. The red dots blinking on your screen are regions of the world witnessing ongoing conflict, from the crisis unfolding in the Red Sea to the territorial disputes in the South China Sea, from the war in Ukraine threatening a contest for the Black Sea to the war for global domination between the US and China in the Pacific. Today, in the age of a growing global war, a country's naval might is everything. Why are we talking about this today? It's because China is working on a secret new technology for its warship. That's right. And the details of this new technology are so chilling, it's bound to spook the US. And why are we talking about this today again? Well, it's because China is working on a secret new technology for its warship. The details, in fact, being that China's next-gen Fujian warship is equipped with an advanced electromagnetic aircraft. Scientists have revealed more details about it. You see, the Fujian aircraft carrier has an all-in-one mast, a technology that they say will have a big impact on the future of warfare. And comparisons with the US warships, the introduction of this new tech in the Chinese warship could give it an edge over US's Gerald R. Ford. And here I must note the US Navy's newest warship is bigger than the Fujian and nuclear-powered. Fujian relies on conventional power, but the mass on the Chinese warship, the much talked about electromagnetic plane catapults, has one less launch track than the USS Gerald R. Ford. It's the only other warship in the world that has the technology. Now let's just break it down for you. The antennas on the Fujian, you cannot see them. They are enclosed in a grey composite material. They call it the multifunctional integrated electronic mast. Modern warship masts house antennas. They have three main functions: radar, electronic surveillance, electromagnetic suppression. This means that the antennas are of different shapes. And China, well, it has progressed to second generation of electromagnetic integration technology. It means one single antenna does multiple jobs: radar scanning, intercepting encrypted communication, also launching electronic warfare. What kind of electronic warfare? Jamming and suppression. And how exactly does it do that? By surveying electromagnetic space around the ship and identifying high-threat targets. The system then adjusts the antennas in a way that it can intercept signals with high precision. And after analysis, a suppression signal is generated by the computer that is then transmitted to the antenna, which then emits electromagnetic waves to form highly focused beams. And then the target is suppressed. That is the function of this new tech on Chinese warships. It has substantial implications for maritime security, by the way. It is being described as a revolutionary system. Now, you may ask, what makes this different from the one in American warships? On the USS Gerald R. Ford, the antennas gather signal, which are then synthesized and processed by a computer. They use first generation of electromagnetic sensor integration technology. These antennas are exposed to the elements, rain, sunshine, wind, storms. That makes it vulnerable to weathering, which could also affect its performance. The traditional mast configuration is also reportedly detrimental to electromagnetic stealth. In simple words, this would make the ship visible to enemy weapon systems, even from a distance. The Chinese warship, with its new and advanced mast technology, would not have to worry about that. The details have been unveiled in a paper by scientists from the Nanjiang Research Institute of Electronics Technology. They were also involved in developing this technology, and they believe that this technology will have a significant impact on warfare in the future. But the Americans can probably breathe easy because the Chinese are yet to overcome challenges when it comes to introducing this technology. There are some practical difficulties in achieving this goal. For example, how will the system actually distinguish between radar signals and reflections of ship hulls? Also, 2 decades ago, a secret concealed antenna was used in a US Navy ship. It was an experiment, but it was deemed too expensive, also unnecessary. The Chinese certainly don't see it as unnecessary. And if the Chinese are on their way to introducing this new technology, can the Americans actually afford to lag behind? And if China is working on its naval supremacy goals, how can India be far behind? India also is boosting its naval might. It plans to add 160 warships by the year 2030. And while India flexes its maritime muscle by addressing security concerns in the high seas, more friendly nations want to sell their submarines to India. Germany has presented a government-to-government proposal for the sale of 6 advanced conventional submarines to India. This is for the Indian Navy's P-75I procurement program. And according to reports, a senior German delegation was in New Delhi recently to take the talks forward. Reportedly, the talks happened 2 weeks ago. The race for the deal, which is expected to cost upwards of 45,000 crore rupees, is between Germany and Spain. But reports say that the process has been considerably delayed. In June 2023, India and Germany discussed the deal at the highest level. This was during the visit of the German Defense Minister, Boris Pistorius. And during his talks with the Indian Defense Minister, Rajnath Singh, Pistorius had made a strong pitch for the German shipbuilding company, ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems. He had said that the submarine deal could become a flagship project between the two sides. Technically, only Germany and Spain meet the criteria to submit bids under the P-75I deadline. India's Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders Limited, along with Larsen & Toubro Limited, have been shortlisted to partner with foreign submarine manufacturers to make 6 advanced conventional submarines in India. This will be under a technology transfer. Both the bids have since been submitted and are currently being evaluated. The talks have been stalled over export clearances, but if the deal does go through, we are talking about a deal for 6 submarines that could be a significant boost for the Indian Navy, considering the role that India plays in the Indo-Pacific region. Germany's interest in arming India is in line with the role that Europe seeks to play in the Indo-Pacific. Partnering and helping boost India's naval might is in the strategic interest of like-minded countries in the region. It's because India can ensure free navigation, free trading routes, and fulfill its role as the net security provider in the high seas here. Before we end the segment, by the way, we want to leave you with where countries actually stand in this era of global sea power. As of the year 2024, the US leads the world in naval might, followed by China, Russia, Indonesia, South Korea, Japan, and then India. France ranking number 8 on the chart, followed by the Royal British Navy and Turkey taking rank number 10. Here's a question people around the world are asking. How did militants manage to hit a US base in Jordan? What was America's defense system doing when a drone struck Tower 22, killing 3 American soldiers and injuring at least 40 others? Now, various narratives have emerged a day after that attack, and we will go through them one by one tonight. And we start off with Tower 22. There is a lot of curiosity around this base itself, much of which stems from the peculiar name. Now, this is where Tower 22 is on the map, in a border region of Jordan, very close to Iraq and Syria. Now, what were American troops doing at Tower 22? There is very little public information on what really happens in Tower 22. Reports claim that Tower 22 houses a small US logistics outpost. At least 350 US Army and Air Force commandos are stationed there. And what is their task? Again, no clear information. Reports saying the troops at Tower 22 help fight ISIS. The outpost also serving as a supply hub for US garrison of Al-Tanf, which is across the border in Syria. And what kind of weapons has the US deployed at Tower 22? We don't know. What kind of air defenses does it have at Tower 22? Again, no public information. Whatever the nature of the air defense be, one thing is clear. On the morning of 29th, the system failed. An enemy drone infiltrated Tower 22. It hit the quarters of the US troops. 3 soldiers died. At least 40 others were injured. Some suffered brain trauma, some minor cuts. At least 8 soldiers had to be airlifted out of Jordan for treatment. So what exactly happened that night? Why were the troops caught off guard? Explanation number 1 being the timing of the attack itself. Around the time that the enemy drone was approaching, there was an American drone in the nearby skies, and this drone was returning to the base following a mission. One defense official told a news channel that the auto-response feature of the base's air defense system was turned off. And why is that? So that the American drone is not shot down. At one point, the enemy drone started following the American drone as it approached Tower 22. Americans still don't know whether their drone was followed intentionally, or was it a coincidence? The Wall Street Journal, meanwhile, is reporting that there was confusion when the enemy drone was flying towards the airbase. Troops at Tower 22 could not tell with certainty whether or not the incoming drone was hostile, and that is how the enemy drone got an easy pass and went on to kill the 3 soldiers. The Pentagon has revealed that all the 3 soldiers were Army reservists from Georgia. William Jerome Rivers was 46 years old, Kennedy Layden Sanders, all of 24, and Breonna Alexandria was 23. We are being told that the enemy drone that killed these soldiers was flying very low and also very slow, which is also why the drone went undetected for the longest time. There is no doubt that this was a massive security lapse. The Pentagon saying it is investigating what happened and whether human error contributed to the failure to stop the enemy drone, whether it was the machines that failed or the soldiers responsible. Either way, at the end of the day, what happened at Tower 22 exposes the loopholes in the American defense system. And our next story is about the resurrection of ISIS. It seems the group's operations have received a big boost amid Israel's ongoing war with Hamas. You see, the warnings have been there, the evidence has been there. On Sunday came the ultimate clincher. There was a terror attack in Turkey. A church was targeted in Istanbul. 2 gunmen stormed the church, turning the morning mass into a scene of terror. The shooting happened at around 11:40 a.m. local time. The lone victim of the attack happened to be a Muslim, which is ironic because the attack was carried out by the ISIS. Yes, the Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack. In a statement issued late on Sunday, the group said, and I'm quoting, "We attacked a gathering of Christian infidels during their polytheistic ceremony at the Santa Maria Church in Istanbul's Bukyudere neighborhood on Sunday." The claim of responsibility was posted on Amak, the group's media arm, along with photographs of 2 masked men with guns whom it identified as the attackers. The attack has sent out shock waves across Turkey. Turkish authorities say they have sprung into action. The 2 men behind the attack have been arrested. One of the suspects is from Tajikistan, the other from Russia. Immediately after the attack, Turkish police raided 30 locations and detained a total of 47 people. All of them are said to be linked to the ISIS. This is what the Turkish Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya had to say about the attacks. Let me quote, "We will never tolerate those who try to disturb the peace of our country. Terrorists, their collaborators, national and international criminal groups, and those who target our unity and solidarity." This is not the first time Turkey has made such arrests. On the 3rd of January, it had arrested 25 suspected Islamic State members. They were accused of planning to attack churches and synagogues. And a few days before this, in December, Turkish authorities arrested 189 people. They were all suspected of having ties with the ISIS. The arrests took place simultaneously in 37 provinces. So the arrests and the detentions have been underway for quite some time now, but Turkish authorities did not expect an attack to take place despite its efforts. And this has raised questions on the capabilities of the ISIS in the present day. How strong has it actually become? Well, the head of the United States-led coalition fighting the Islamic State says that the group's operations across West Asia have become quite extensive. The warning has been issued by Major General Joel Wawel. He leads Operation Inherent Resolve, the mission against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. He says there has been a 200% increase in suspected attacks by the group in the past 3 months. What is the reason behind this? Well, it's because anti-ISIS groups that were fighting ISIS, have shifted their attention away to dealing with Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. They are busy deterring strikes by these groups across West Asia, and this has given the ISIS a chance to regroup. This is what the general had to say about this. The strikes have forced counter-ISIS troops to focus on defense. All that focus has allowed at the tactical level, ISIS sells to start doing more things. We have seen an uptick in attacks in Syria and Iraq in the last 60 days in particular. What we are concerned about is the ISIS fighters in detention. If they get a prison breakout, they build an army overnight again. At least that's their desire. So clearly the threat from the ISIS has grown amid the Israel-Hamas war. The attack on a church in Turkey should serve as a wake-up call for the leaders of West Asia. And while American defense systems may be failing in Ukraine, the US continues to dominate the global arms trade. The figures are out. The sales of US military equipment to foreign governments in the year 2023 rose 16% to a record $238 billion. The US State Department made this public on Monday. US arms exports hit a record high as countries around the world replenished their stocks to prepare for major conflicts. $238 billion. These numbers underpin the expectations of stronger sales for the likes of Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman. The shares of these weapons makers are forecast to rise, even as global instability rises, making the numbers public. The US State Department said it views arms sales and transfers as quote-unquote important US foreign policy tools with potential long-term implications for regional and global security. Sales approved in the year included $10 billion worth of high-mobility artillery rocket systems, artillery being fired by Ukrainian soldiers, or as our viewers will best understand, they were sent to Poland. The US also sent $2.9 billion worth of AIM-120C8 advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles, or AMRAAM, to Germany. And let's not forget the weapons sent to Ukraine. In this case, the National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile Systems. Lockheed makes the HIMARS, while RTX, formerly known as Raytheon, makes AMRAAM. RTX and Norway's Kongsberg producing the NASAMS. The American weapons manufacturers expect existing orders for hundreds of thousands of artillery rounds, hundreds of Patriot missile interceptors and armored vehicles in the upcoming quarter. I'm talking about Lockheed Martin and General Dynamics. For the unversed, there are two major ways in which foreign governments buy weapons from US companies. One is via direct commercial sales that are negotiated with the company. And the other way is that a government contacts a US Defense Department official at the US Embassy to request arms deal. Both routes require the US government nod. So in the year 2023, direct military sales by US companies rose to $157.5 billion. In 2022, it was $153.6 billion. Meanwhile, sales arranged through the US government rose to $80.9 billion in the year 2023. It was $51.9 billion in 2022. Safe to say then, so long as global conflicts continue, American weapons will continue to dominate weapons trade. And speaking of the arms race, the world has become a game of nuclear chess. And Russia and the US back on the board. Recently, a Russian MP, Alexei Zhuravlev, has made a provocative statement. He has said that Russia should place its nukes in friendly countries near the US. Zhuravlev specifically mentioned Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua. And what prompted this provocation? America, of course. Zhuravlev's comment was in response to Washington's alleged plans to move its own tactical arms to Europe. And reports say that the US is looking to deploy its nuclear weapons in the UK in order to counter the increased threat from Russia. In a post on the messaging app Telegram, Zhuravlev said the UK already has its own nuclear weapons. He also pointed out how the US has also deployed part of its nuclear arsenal in friendly nations in Europe. He says, therefore, that additional deployment of nuclear weapons to the UK would impact the military landscape of the region. So what's his solution, you ask? That Russia deploys its own nukes in Cuba. I mean, has the world forgotten the Cuban Missile Crisis of the 1960s? And can a world at war already afford these nuclear provocations? The Russian MP notes that weapon systems have improved since the 1960s. He then touted the dreaded Russian hypersonic missiles, noting that they are faster than the ones used by the US and other NATO countries. He warned, and I'm quoting, Russian hypersonic missiles launched from our territory would reach the US faster than subsonic ones launched from the American underbelly. We have ways to respond to any encroachments by the US and NATO, which it controls. Clearly, even after 2 years of the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia is in no mood to dial down the tensions with the NATO. Since the war started, Russia has reportedly made nuclear provocations. The Russian Foreign Ministry has warned multiple times Moscow would be forced to enact the compensatory countermeasures in the event American nuclear warheads ever return to Britain. And not just that, by the way, Russia has also repeatedly accused the West of fueling tensions in Europe. Remember, it is the NATO's eastward expansion that started the Ukraine war in the first place. Still, 2 years later, the Ukraine war is nowhere near over. The US continues to send thousands of weapons to aid Ukraine, and the West continues to fear a possible Russian attack on Europe. This, even though Moscow has vehemently denied any plans to invade European countries. Has the Pakistan army finished Imran Khan? Has it eliminated whatever little was left of his political career? Now, these questions are buzzing in Islamabad, and not without reason. You see, a Pakistani court has sentenced the former Pakistani Prime Minister to 10 years in jail. And why is that? Because he has been found guilty of violating the country's Official Secrets Act. And along with him, Pakistan's former Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi also has been sentenced for 10 years in the same case. The decision was taken by a special court judge. He handed down the order on Tuesday afternoon. The case pertains to allegations that Imran Khan had shared contents of a secret cable sent by Pakistan's ambassador in Washington to the government in Islamabad. He apparently waved the confidential document at a rally after he was toppled. The document has not been made public by either the government or Imran Khan's lawyers, but one thing is certain, that this document was a diplomatic correspondence between the Pakistani ambassador to Washington and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Islamabad. And our correspondent, Anas Malik, has been tracking those developments very closely. He sent us this report. Take a look.
Former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan has been convicted along with former Pakistani Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi for 10 years in the Cypher Saga case. Now, while Imran Khan says that this was a conspiracy, the Cypher was itself a conspiracy, his party says that they will be challenging the verdict in the superior judiciary with the hope that they will be getting justice. Anas Malik in Islamabad, Pakistan for WION World is One.
The verdict in this case may have been given by a Pakistani court, but Imran Khan's supporters say it is the handiwork of the Pakistani army. And there seems to be some merit in their argument because for the last 6 months, the army has been waging a crackdown on Imran Khan. It has significantly limited his presence in the election campaign. Political posters on the streets did not feature Imran Khan's face. Even his party is not represented by its colors on flags due to that extensive crackdown. It's as if the army has almost erased Imran Khan and the PTI from the election campaign, with party workers reportedly facing harassment and even death threats. From where we see it, this was always supposed to happen. You see, Imran Khan's rise to power was a soft coup engineered by Pakistan's real rulers, that's the Pakistan army. Imran Khan was the army's man, their blue-eyed boy. They installed him to power, hoping that he would be a pliable civilian leader. But that was not to be. After coming to power, you see, he crossed one red line after another, undermined the army's authority, pushed back against their policies. And once out of power, he leveled one allegation after another against the army. In June 2022, in fact, he indirectly accused the army of blackmailing him and tying his hands on most foreign policy issues. And then in August 2022, he mocked the army generals by calling them neutrals and added that history will remember what they did to the country. And in November 2022, he took things a notch further. He directly named a military general for planning to assassinate him, he said. He claimed that Major General Faisal Nasir had conspired with the country's interior minister to get him killed. On the 9th of January last year, he asked the army to refrain from political engineering in the elections and blamed the former army chief General Bajwa for the current political crisis. And then, in February last year, he sought an internal military inquiry against Bajwa for his alleged admission that he toppled his government. Now, these were just a few of his statements against the army. There are many more attacks, many more accusations, and they all culminated into his arrest. And now the 10-year sentence, which he has been given by a Pakistani court. The question is this officially the end of Imran Khan? Will he really stay in jail for the next 10 years? Well, it certainly seems like it. Time now for our segment Gravitas Snapshot, where we discuss public figures who are making headlines. And tonight we are focusing on Hemant Soren, the Chief Minister of Jharkhand and a man in trouble. On the 27th of January, the Enforcement Directorate issued a communication asking Soren to join the investigation against him in a money laundering case. But Soren decided to skip the ED summons. And so on Monday, a team of ED officials arrived at his official residence. However, he was not at his house. He had gone missing. That's right, a chief minister went missing. Where did he go? What really happened? Well, reports say he left for an undisclosed location immediately after the ED summons. He was untraceable for over 24 hours. He was last seen in Delhi on Sunday night. But when the ED officials reached his Delhi residence, he was again not to be found. The agency seized 36 lakh rupees in cash and a BMW car which belonged to him. But Soren was not to be found. Not in Ranchi, neither his Delhi residence, nor at the Jharkhand Bhavan in New Delhi. Meanwhile, a chartered plane on which he flew to Delhi from Ranchi remained parked at the airport. And as the news spread, the BJP claimed that the Chief Minister was on the run. It even put out an ad seeking information about Hemant Soren, along with a cash prize of 11,000 rupees for credible information. It was only on Tuesday afternoon that Soren reached Jharkhand's capital, Ranchi. After officials failed to locate him for nearly 30 hours, he chaired a closed-door meeting with the MLAs and the ministers of the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha-led ruling alliance. Soren's wife, Kalpana Soren, was also present at the meeting amid a strong buzz that she could take over the reins of the government if he were to be arrested. So why did he disappear for this long? Well, his team says he went to New Delhi for legal consultations. He apparently met an advocate in New Delhi and may now approach the court to seek protection against coercive action. Now, whatever be the case, this entire episode does not make for good optics, to say the least. Hemant Soren is known as a politician who is adept at handling the game of nerves. Also, if he was indeed innocent, he did not have to disappear in the first place. And we will have to wait and watch how the story impacts his political fortunes. Now imagine this. You wake up one day and find an altered image of yourself out there. Sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? Except this happened for real. Let me now take you to Australia. What happened to a Victorian MP there is shocking, to say the least. An altered image of the MP was used by Channel 9. What does that mean? What has the channel said? How exactly did this happen? Let me get you all the details. Georgie Purcell tweeted out a picture that was shown in a Channel 9 news broadcast. And this picture was digitally altered, she said. The MP also put out the original. The difference between the two is hard to miss. She said in her post that the outfit was made more revealing. I'm quoting from her post now. I endured a lot yesterday, but having my body and outfit photoshopped by a media outlet was not on my bingo card. Note the outfit to be made more revealing. Can't imagine this happening to a male MP. What gives? Can you imagine what she went through? And why should a female lawmaker have to go through this in the first place? And like she asked, would this have happened with a male lawmaker? You know, his outfit being made more revealing. So what happened in this case? Channel 9 has apologized. They claim it was inadvertently altered by Photoshop. The 9 News director has said that the graphics department sourced an online image of the lawmaker and that as per common practice, the image was resized to fit their specifications, during which the automation by Photoshop created an image that was not consistent with the original. Basically, the channel has attributed the error to artificial intelligence and said that no staff member was involved in altering the image. And they have said that this did not meet the high editorial standards that they have, and they apologized to Georgie Purcell unreservedly. Meanwhile, Purcell has said she does not completely buy the explanation, but she is willing to move on. She says it should never happen again, though. Well, yes, it shouldn't. And let's face it, these incidents make one think about the ways in which women's bodies have become battlegrounds, the way their privacy is encroached upon time and again. It is unacceptable, to say the least, whatever be the case. And this is once again also a reminder of the very dark side to artificial intelligence and the misuse of technology overall. And with AI becoming a bigger part of our lives with each passing day, its threats are growing as well. And there are bigger concerns over the way in which women are being increasingly targeted. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching. Good night.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.